Hey, this is Michaela, and you're listening to Dan Lupinski on the Dan Lupinski radio program.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to the Dan Lipinski Internet Radio Show. I am Dan Lipinski. Thank you for being with me this afternoon. Beautiful day in Chicago, sunny, still a little bit cold, 31 degrees, but thank God no snow. So, my guest today is Danny Lynn, psychic medium, small, medium, at large. Danny, say hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
So, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. It's nice and sunny where I'm at in Phoenix.
What's the temperature?
I think it's going to get up to 80 today.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I love it.
Very nice. So, Danny, how did you get started in doing what you do, psychic medium? How did you get started with that?
Well, it's not something you learn. I didn't take any classes or anything like that. I started, I guess, how do I even explain this? It's something that you're born with. When I was a kid, I knew things I shouldn't know. I knew as I got older, I knew which parties to go to, which ones to get out of. I knew when my friends were in trouble. I knew when the phone was going to ring and sometimes knew who it was going to be, things like that. But started doing it professionally about 6 years ago when I couldn't really deny my mediumship abilities, because it's one thing to know that you know some things and it's just intuition. You can play it off. But it's another thing when you realize that your dead grandmother has been talking to you. So,
Really?
yeah, and that happened. I think that part of my abilities really blew up right after my cancer treatments were over. I was diagnosed in 2008 with breast cancer, and about 2 years later, when my treatments were over, I realized that I couldn't really deny the fact that I was hearing people that weren't there. I quickly ran to my psychiatrist
Okay.
and told them that I thought I was crazy. And they basically told me, no, your things are verified. And I have basically got told by my psychiatrist that I was psychic. So I started learning how to control it and then became a professional medium after that.
Okay. Now, where are you originally from?
I grew up in Iowa. I grew up in Hazelton and went to school at Oline in Northeast Iowa. And
Okay.
got married and lived in Iowa City for 11 years.
What was it like growing up then? Did you have any aspirations or even think that you'd be doing the work you're doing?
No, that was not something that I thought I would be doing at all. When I was young, I just thought it was intuition. I knew that I was picking up energy from other people. I knew that people came to me constantly when I was in school, and people I didn't even really know very well, but they would come to me and tell me their problems and ask for advice. Somehow they just knew to come to me. But no, I never thought that I'd be working as a professional psychic at all.
Okay. So, how has your readings helped out people?
Um, well, my readings help people in a lot of different ways. Some people just need a regular psychic reading because they just feel lost. They don't feel like they know where they're going or why things are happening to them.
Right.
Well, like you go through times in your life when you just feel like the whole world is against you and nothing's going to go right. And I think sometimes people just need to be validated. So a lot of the times when I'm doing readings, it's stuff they already know, but they just need to hear it from somebody else. You know what I mean?
Right.
And to hear it from a stranger who knows nothing about them, as a psychic, really just kind of hits home and makes them realize that, I guess, that there is something else out there other than just our 3D world that is helping them and guiding them. With my mediumship, it helps people in a tremendous way.
Okay.
Sometimes people have lost somebody, 20 years ago, and they have these unrelenting guilts that they've been carrying, and that person can come through and tell them, hey, knock it off. You didn't do anything. These things happened the way that they were supposed to.
Right.
Don't feel because we had a fight right before I died, stuff like that, and it really helps them. But the one reading that I will never forget was a couple of years ago while I was still in Iowa. And my guides came in, and I'll tell you about guides later, but my guides came in, and I was at the doctor's office, and there was a lady at the front desk. And they basically told me, you have to tell her about her husband. And I didn't want to tell her because I don't believe in drive-by readings. I don't like to read for people unless they ask for it, because it could be traumatic.
Yeah.
And so long story short, it ended up her husband had fallen in the shower, had hit his head, and he needed to go to the ER. And he ended up passing away, but because I told her, she was able to have her last afternoon and be able to say goodbye to her husband. And that was huge. Just the fact that, you know, I was able to, because she would have went home and he would have been in a coma if I hadn't have intervened. So that one really solidified for me what I'm doing matters.
Right. Right. Wow. Now, what kind of what kind of readings do you do? You do talk about some of your psychic readings.
Okay. Well, the bulk of my work is mediumship. That's my specialty. That's what I really am pulled to do. But I also do regular psychic readings, and I do tarot readings, which is just, the cards aren't anything special. They're just a tool. Some people, I always tell people, cards aren't special. They're just cards. That it's just a tool for psychics to use. And it's also mostly for people being read because they like pretty pictures. They like illustration.
Right.
It's like, I always tell people it's like going to a college class, and you could either sit there and listen to the professor drone on, or he can write on a chalkboard or do a PowerPoint, and it just sinks in a little bit better. So that's what I do. I also do house cleansings for people who may think that there's something in their house. And I read the house first, and I decide if something's there or not. And there have been times where I'm like, honey, there's nothing here. You're just living in a really old house. Or if there's something, I will help cleanse the house.
Okay. Now, I'd like to make mention to anybody listening, you know, look at the bottom of the YouTube page. You'll see comments. You'll be able to text in any kind of comments or questions you have for Dani Lynn. So please send them in if you have anything you want to say to her. So, okay. So now, what is a Reiki master? Reiki. What is that?
Yeah, it's Reiki. And
Reiki?
Reiki is something that I got into, it's basically an energy healing. They call it universal healing. It doesn't really have a religion attached to it. It was invented by Mr. Usui in Japan. And, well, I guess discovered would be more the word than invented. And he was a doctor in Japan, and he didn't like the way that healing missed the spiritual part. You know what I'm saying? So even in Japan, it was like Western medicine where they were healing the body but not healing the spirit. And so Reiki is basically a universal energy healing. And you don't even touch the person, but they lay down or they sit down, and you can you call Reiki and you do energy healing on that person. I always tell people it's like acupuncture without the needles.
Okay, we have a question.
Yes, Sally Anderson Opfer says, Hi, Dan and Dani. I need to schedule another reading soon. Since I moved to my new place a year ago, I keep feeling like someone is sitting down or lying down on my bed when I go to bed at night. Would burning sage help stop it?
Hi, Sally. How are you, honey? Burning sage helps. I always tell people, if you feel like these things are happening, especially if somebody's sitting down next to your bed, it depends on the feeling you get from this. So do you feel like this is a threatening feeling, or do you feel like this is a comforting feeling? So if somebody is visiting you, is it a family member, somebody who loved you and then they passed away? Or is this something that is scaring you, that is feeling threatening to you? So I would say, yes, sage is a really good way to cleanse a house of anything negative. But if that spirit isn't negative, you may not get rid of them. So
Right.
would use your judgment, use your intuition, because everybody has certain abilities. It's innate in us. That's how we're built. And so use your discernment. Well, how does this make me feel? Does it feel comforting? Does it feel threatening? And then definitely sage according to what you feel is happening.
Okay, Dean and Laura Craig said they just wanted to say hi.
Hi, Laura. These are all my friends.
Okay.
Maria wanted to know how much do you charge for a session?
Well, it depends. So when I'm home and I'm doing it either over the phone or in my office, or I come to you in Arizona, it's, let's see, for an hour, I charge $150 for mediumship. For a half an hour, it's $75. For a
Okay.
regular psychic reading or a tarot reading, it's, what is it? I think I charge $65 for a half hour and $125 for a full hour.
Okay. Now you do shakara work. What is that?
Chakra.
Chakra.
So this also goes along with Eastern medicine, acupuncture, and spirituality all kind of comes together. I always think it's funny because science, Eastern medicine, Western medicine, and spirituality are all talking about the same thing. They just use different words. So chakra work, so everybody has chakras. So there's the crown chakra, the third eye chakra, throat chakra, heart chakra, solar plexus, and root chakra, and then there's one more that I always forget for some reason. I don't know why. But so these are the pathways of where the energy flows. Okay, so you talk about an aura. Have you ever heard of an aura?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the meridians for the energy to go through, down through your body, up and around, and back in. Okay, then with acupuncture, they work with your chakras. Have you ever had acupuncture, Dan?
No.
Okay, so if you go to an acupuncturist, they'll put a needle right at the very top of your head, right where your fontanelle would be, or the soft spot on a baby. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Do one here, one here, one here, all the way down, and then they do the meridians. So there's your secondary chakras, one in each hand, and then there's pathways of energy where all of your nerves move and run, correct? So
Yeah.
science has proven that our body runs on energy. Your heart stops moving, your heart stops beating. What do? They get out the paddles and they shock you, right?
Right.
To try to get that energy, that electricity to start pulsing through your heart and making it pump again, right? They can also, science has proven that your brain runs on energy because they can put electrodes on your head and measure the energy going through your brain, the electrical synapses from one side of the brain to the other, right?
Like when they give somebody like a shock treatment therapy.
Yes, exactly. And so that through the energy that runs through your body, that's how your body runs. That's how your organs run. That's
Okay.
everything is run on energy. So this is just a way of what do I want to say? Manipulating or controlling that energy. So that's how acupuncture works. That's how Reiki works. So sometimes we can have a chakra or a meridian that is closed, and so we can, doing energy work, we can open up those chakras so the energy flows better. So like I said, it's a lot like acupuncture.
Right.
With
Okay, I have another question from Sally Anderson. Opfer.
Mhm.
As your guides help you to help others, do your guides also help you? Or your own intuitions and feelings conflict with your guides present to you?
So all of the above, kind of. So my guides help me on a regular basis. So if I know something's, the problem is with my problems, they're a lot more vague. So if I'm going through an issue in my life and I'm asking my guides, hey, what's going on? They're not as clear with their words. They just give me that idea of this is what you should do. And they push me slowly towards what I'm supposed to be doing for my life.
Okay.
When I'm doing readings for other people, my guides are much more clear so that I can communicate clearly to those people. But because I'm not supposed to know what's coming up next to a degree, my guides will be a lot more vague with me. And sometimes my own wants and needs, I will argue with my guides. And they're like, no, that's not true. And so I'm just like a regular person where I will hear my guides or not know that's my guides and argue with them because what I want is not necessarily what's best for me. So yeah.
Explain what your guides are.
Okay. So everybody has guides.
Yeah.
Every single one of us. And this doesn't even
Is it like something where it's like no, you're not going to do this, or yes, you are going to do it?
It's kind of like that. Remember when we were kids and we would watch the commercials, like the Looney Tunes, and they'd have the little angel on your shoulder?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, where they're whispering and they're like, hey, you should do this. And you're like, no, I don't want to do that. Yeah. And they're like, no, you really should do this or you'll be sorry. And
yeah.
So we all have guides that do this. Some people call them guardian angels, but I call them guides because angels just kind of puts more of a religious connotation on it. That right. I want to appeal to everybody, not just certain religions. You know what I'm saying? Right. So yeah, we all have them, and they will speak to us through our inner voice. So we think we're arguing with ourselves, but we're not. We're arguing with our guides.
Okay.
We have like 3 viewers right now, and there's 2 of us here in the studio along with Dani. Are your guides telling you anything? Are you picking up anything from any of us here that are involved in this?
So you want me to kind of plug in a little?
Like tell me something about my love life. Will I ever find anybody?
Okay, hold on. Okay, so the first thing that I get is, so they're gonna tell you what you're doing wrong. Okay, they're telling you come on way too strong. When you meet a girl that you're interested in or a woman that you're interested in, you just come on way too strong. I feel like the things that you say are too direct, and you tend to, even though that person may have been a really good person that would have been a partner for you, it puts people off. And so I think we need to be more gentle and more, what do I want to say? Be more gradual with the things that you are coming up with to say. Be a little softer, a little less evident in exactly what you want to get to. See what I'm saying?
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay, because I do feel like that, especially in the, hold on. I'm feeling in the last two years that I want to go into a 3rd year in the future.
Yeah.
So the last 2 years, the next year, I feel like there will be 3 women that you were really interested in. And yeah, and I feel like definitely just the conversations and the things that were said just really put them off and made them kind of want to back up a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, Sally had another question.
Sorry.
Sally wanted to know, does your gift interfere positively or negatively with your parenting? And please explain.
I think mostly positively for me, in my opinion, because my kids, number one, they love what I do. They love to hear about my readings. They like to go with me to my shows. So that part, they're pretty proud of me. They're not ashamed or, Mom, don't tell anybody. That's not an issue. It's positive for me in my parenting because there are times where I'm like, my guides will tell me, hey, something's going on with this kid. You better check this out. And I will have no clue what's going on. And there was one particular case where my guide wouldn't tell me exactly what it was. And I'm like, why aren't you telling me exactly what it is with my one child? And they're like, no, you've got to figure this out on your own because my child would not fess up unless I did more investigation to have proof. So in the end of it, it was a pretty big deal, you know, when you're dealing with a 13-year-old girl. But it was great for them to give me that nudge to know something's going on, because that little girl can act. She's going to be an actress someday, I swear. And just to give me that little nudge, that knowing that something's going on, not to let it go, because it could have affected her for the rest of her life. So I'm very glad that.
Now, your ability is more like a sixth sense, you know. So like if you could see something that it may be happening to somebody that they might not be aware of, and then you kind of enlighten them about that fact, and how well is that received sometimes?
Well, and I learned the hard way years ago that you don't do the drive-by readings.
Right.
I lost a very, very good friend who I cherished a lot, because somebody came through and I ended up telling her about it, and she wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
And it had to do with something that was going on in her life, because that's the one thing that people who've passed away, they love to do, is help us the things that we're going through. And because I told her about it and she wasn't ready for it, our friendship ended. So that was a hard lesson for me to learn, but that's why I don't do drive-by readings. Like if I go out to dinner with friends and they're like, "Ooh, do you hear anything from me?" And I'm like, well, first of all, I have to choose to do it, because I'm really good at shielding. I like to try to live a normal life for the most part,
Right.
as much as they'll allow me. And number two is like, there's a reason why I charge money for what I do, because people will say they want to hear something, but if they haven't thought about it, and money always makes us pause. Money, this is how our society, we pause, think about it. Well, do I really want to spend that kind of money? Do I really want to hear this? And so a lot of times my friends, or I'll be at a party, they're like, "Oh, tell me something about me." And I'm like, "No, I'm not going to do it, because you may not want to hear what I'm about to tell you," because they don't realize that I know stuff. And if I tune in, I'm going to know more about you than you may not want me to know.
Well, you know, like humility. You know, humility is teachability, and humility is being able to say, "Yeah, this is who you are." You know, but then you know, I found it where I may see something in somebody where I think something was going to happen, and I would mention it to them, like, and they get that reaction, like, "Well, you know, like, who do you think you're talking to?" You know.
Right. Exactly. You know, and that's
And
and
so
yeah.
I found it was better to back off. Or, well, let them make their mistake, and then talk about it. You know, and sometimes
Yeah.
it was better off that way. You know.
Oh, and it's the absolute truth. Even when, you know, we all have intuition. We all have that sixth sense that whether we listen to it or not. And especially when you're dealing with a friend who's going through something and you're like, "Hey, you should do this," because there's like, you just know it in your gut that this is what they need to do. And they have to walk their own journey. If they're not hear or receive that, there's nothing you can do. And sometimes we have to watch our friends and our loved ones just crash and burn. And all we want to do is say,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You know. I mean, sometimes that's what you have to do. You know.
Yeah, well, because they have to walk their path, and they have to learn the things that they're going to learn. And sometimes no amount of help or a psychic or anybody else is going to change that for them, even if we're all telling them exactly what they could and should do to avoid it. So the soul has to learn the way that they have to learn.
Okay, hold on, we got a question.
Okay, Robin Cody asks, you mentioned that you don't like drive-by readings, but I know from experience that sometimes they tend to leave you alone until you get your message out. In this case, is this the case with you? Do you ever hear from people other than your guides, like spirits coming through asking you to deliver messages to people that you happen to run into?
This is Robin Cote. Yeah, we had her on our show.
Yeah, we've had Robin Cody on the show before.
Yeah.
Robin. Yeah, that has happened. Like I said, the one lady at the doctor's office, I was just going in because I had a weird pain in my throat. And after you have cancer, you know, you run to the doctor for every little stupid pain.
Right.
And I did not want to read for her. I didn't even know her name, but my guides were basically saying, hey, this is what she needs to hear. I also have that with spirit. About 6 months ago, I had a little girl that came to my house, and I'm very protective of my house. I put lots of protections, and I block myself. I don't want anybody coming in my house messing with my kids, because my kids have some latent abilities also. But I had a little girl, she came in, and she had leukemia, and she was telling me that her mother lives on the other side of my neighborhood. And she wanted me to go tell her mother that she was okay. And I had to tell the little girl that I'm not going to go knocking on your mother's door out of the blue to mess with her mind when she's mourning a child. So I asked her to influence her mother to come to me or to find me, and they can do that. She said she was going to hang out in my house for a while, and I allowed her, but there are times where I think I'd say about 5 times in the past 6 years where I allowed myself to do just a little bit of a drive-by reading, because on top of the spirit that was there, I asked my guides if it was beneficial to the person that would be emotionally affected, that I was going to read for. And if yay or nay, and then I would make that decision in that moment. But as a general rule, I try not to do the drive-bys.
Okay. So now you've done readings for say like a member somebody in the family has passed away, and they may have some issues with them that may have been unresolved, and you're able to help do that, aren't you?
Yeah, it feels really good. But basically, I'm just an antenna and a speaker. I don't write the radio show. So what?
Okay.
I just don't. I mean, I'm just the conduit. And so what they are saying is exactly what this person needs. And a lot of healing happens. I love it. But sometimes people go into readings having expectations, and they didn't know what they needed to hear. And so they're like, well, why is he telling me about this, this, and this when I wanted to hear this, this, and this? And I said, well, did they ever tell you what to hear in life when they were alive? No. Well, they're still the same people over there. So
Yeah.
I tell people, you get what they choose to tell you. That's all I can do.
Okay.
But I get letters a month later saying, oh, it was everything that I needed, and I'm sorry that I was so, adamant of hearing what I wanted to hear, but I'm so thankful that I heard what I needed to hear. So that's always a happy letter to get.
So now you're gonna be doing some shows, or you're gonna be going to Iowa soon, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm coming back home, and I'm going to be at the Talent Factory on March 12th. It's a Saturday, and the show's at 7 p.m. You can buy tickets right now at any point. The next day, I have to drive to Indiana, and I'll be in Terre Haute at the Indiana Theater at 7 p.m. there. So, yeah, I'm going to be doing those, and then I'm going to be I also have plenty of private readings in certain towns in Iowa that I'll be doing all week.
You want to say hello to anybody at home, family members or anybody?
Well, my mom and dad are in Idaho, so if they're listening, hi, Mom. Everybody in Iowa, I do miss Iowa. I miss all my clients. I don't miss winter, but everybody who's listening or is paying attention in Iowa, hi. I'll be there soon. I'm excited. I'm really excited about my trip.
How long have you been in Arizona now?
It'll be 2 years in July.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So, you have any information where people could look you up?
Yeah, I have a website. It's www.dani, D-A-N-I, Lynn, L-I-N, psychicmedium.com. And all of my prices are there. I can do readings over the phone. That's not a problem. I've read for people in Guam. So
Wow.
Definitely read for people in Chicago. So, and then what else was I going to say? I also have a Facebook page you can go ahead and like. It's Dani Lynn Psychic Medium at Facebook. just look me up.
Yes, Sally would like to know, would it be difficult to read for me since you already know so much about me?
It can be difficult. I remember, Sally, the first time I read for you, I just knew your name. I didn't know you. So the readings were easier for you to take because I didn't know anything about you. When I really get to know somebody and they're my friends, I tend to kind of shy away from reading for them because no matter what I say to them, they're going to say, well, you said that because you know me. So now if we have a friendship, it invalidates my readings for the person getting read. Like, I will not read for close family. I will not read for close friends because they're just saying, oh, you just know that because you know me. Oh, you know that because of my history. And it just breeds the skepticism. That's why I love reading for complete strangers because they're like, how did you know that? And I'm like, how do I know anything? This is just the way it is. So, yeah, it does get difficult just on emotional level of being able to accept what I'm saying as a psychic and not as a friend with opinions. So.
You know, and it's I think it's what you say and how you say it, especially when you deal with family members. I can imagine family members got to be the hardest, you know.
Yeah, we've had actually a few deaths in my family and extended family recently, and most of my family can't even really accept what I do. They are very weirded out. We don't talk about it.
Right.
So it's not something I would just say, oh, hey, so-and-so is saying this, because it's like doing a drive-by reading. It's the same type of thing where
It's like creating gossip.
they're not emotionally ready and they're not going to accept it. So I don't want to get punched in the nose, so I don't do it.
No, don't want that to happen. No.
Sally would like to say, I would not ask for validation because I know you're the real deal.
Oh, I love you, Sally.
So, so you really enjoy doing what you do, don't you?
I do. Well, and I think it's just like anybody else, when you find your life's purpose, when you find something that you're doing that makes a difference in the world and for individual people, how can you not love what you do?
Right.
And so for me, I'm living my purpose because I was taught, I was told, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. Now do it. I'm giving you the opportunity to do it. How can you not love that? It's like, you love radio. This is your passion. And so, you are making a difference in somebody's life, in the entertainment industry. You're making a difference every day just by doing these interviews. So how can you not love this?
Oh yeah. Now, what did you do before you became a medium? What kind of career did you have?
I was a stay-at-home mom
Okay.
have been, well, and I still am. I work out of my home for the most part when I'm not traveling. I was a stay-at-home mom. I sponged off my husband. I did have a dog grooming shop in my house for actually 4 years before I got cancer. And I loved that because I just connect really well with animals. But when I was diagnosed with cancer, they said because of my surgeries, I wasn't allowed to do repetitive motion anymore.
Okay.
So I had to shut that down, and so I think this is the way my life has been guided to get me to do what I was meant to do, which is the mediumship and the psychic stuff.
And you've been a guest on other radio shows, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I did. I remember I did one. Was it near Muscatine? I did a radio show, and I can't even remember his name. He was such a nice guy, and I remember I did a reading for him while I was in the studio, and I freaked him out because his grandmother told me about his muscle car, and he didn't even drive it there that day.
Really?
But yeah, it's fun. I was on another internet radio show out of Cedar Rapids a while back, and then I've been on a few television
Okay,
I say television news shows for advertising for my shows here and there.
that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
this YouTube thing that we're doing, we've been doing this since September. It's kind of a fairly new thing, and and everybody does know that this streams live. You know, we do this. You know, and it's kind of a nice thing. And what's good about internet radio is that even if you don't get them now, you know, you'll get them when they are looking. You know, that's what's good about this.
Oh yeah, I think it's pretty great. Technology, I love the way that it lets us reach out to people, but I am so technologically inept. I don't even. I'm like, you want me to click where? I don't know. So you got a one up on me with technology, definitely.
We're still learning as we grow. We're going along. We still make our mistakes. But that's the thing, you know. You continue to put yourself out there, you know.
Oh, it's so funny. I have clients who are like, "Oh, when are you going to do Skype readings?" And I'm like, "You want me to do what?" Like, you have to call me. I've got Skype downloaded. Have no clue what to do with it now. So you're gonna have to call me. But yeah, I'm like, I'm old school. I'm like, let's just do it over the phone. I have no problem with Skype. I just don't know how to do it.
Yeah, we've done one Skype interview. It turned out okay, you know. For most part, we've been doing the hangout. We do video chats, and still, you know, there are some people that are not able to do the video, so we're just a lot of times we do it over the phone too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had to get pretty for you today, so I was happy to do it.
Oh, it's grateful to finally talk to you. 'Cause I know you've gone a lot with you know, because I know you had your back surgery and everything else. I'm glad you're feeling better, you know, and
Thank
like
you.
I said, I'm finally grateful we were able to do this. And shout out to Angela. Thank you, Angela.
Yes, hello, Angela. She's such a sweetheart. She's up in the sky right now, I think.
So, do you have any closing comments before we let you go?
No, just thanks a lot for having me on. I really appreciate it, and I hope to do some more radio.
Yeah, that's cool. And you know, we'll keep in touch. And again, thank you for being on with us this afternoon. And again, thank you for being my guest. And you have a wonderful day. And take care of yourself. And again, it was a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You too.
All right. Take care. Bye bye. All right. That was Danny Lynn, psychic medium, small, medium, at large. Here on the Dan Lipinski Internet Radio Show. I am host Dan Lipinski. Thank you all for joining me. And remember this: no act of kindness, no matter how small, is never wasted. So you guys have a wonderful Wednesday. Have a great rest of your week. Be good to yourself. Let at least one person know you love them. And we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye bye.